Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. First off, I need to apologize for not making my video last week. I have no excuse why I didn't. I got myself too busy, and I told myself I was too tired to make it. So I just decided not to. So again, probably shouldn't have. I had enough time to do it. I just decided not to. But you know, everything's a learning experience, and I can try to prioritize my videos a little better from now on. All right, so on to the idea I wanted to consider today. Like all my videos, it's trying to just think of something a little different way, trying to just get stuff in the perspective of God instead of in our own minds, in our own perspective. And this is on the story in the Old Testament in 2 Samuel. It's also, I believe, in Chronicles. But in 2 Samuel, chapter 6, it talks about David when King David's bringing the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem. And they load it up on a cart, and they're bringing it there, and then the ox that are pulling it kind of stumble, and the ark starts to move a little bit, and a man, Uzzah, or Uzziah, Uzzah, however you say his name, puts his hand out to steady the ark, and God kills him immediately for what? Because the Ark of the Covenant was something that God said if you touch it, you're gonna die, and Uzzah touched it, or Uzziah, however you say his name, and God killed him. Now that can seem kind of strict. It can seem kind of like, ouch, that was a huge punishment for just trying to stabilize the ark when it tumbled. Well, I think there's a couple more things to the story that's, if you just read past the text really, really quickly, you'll miss it a little bit. There's a couple little peculiarities that you can get out from here. And I'm actually going to link a post from this one group called gotquestions.org, which goes into it really good. It goes into a couple of the specifics on why it wasn't just a simple, oh, it's tumbling, let me try to steady it, and, Uzzah was killed for it. But that's not exactly what I wanted to discuss today, which is why I'm not even going to go into the story. Instead, I'll link that thing in the description below if you're curious as to the specifics of it. But there's something I think a little bit more important to consider that does not have anything to do with figuring out why it was, needed that nobody touched the ark. And that is to consider that the reason why God killed Uzzah for this was because God said, do not touch the ark or you will die. And Uzzah touched the ark, so he died. End of story. Now, that can seem a bit harsh. It can seem a bit, like, well, just because God said something and he just killed somebody for doing it, that seems, that can seem like a tyrannical God. Well, when you consider it, when you think about it, the fact that God is God gives him the right to do whatever he wants. God being God gives him the right to kill somebody for disobeying him. He kills everybody. Just because you can look at that and be like, oh, God killed that man. God has killed every single human being on this earth so far. Like, dying of old age isn't dying without God's hand. Like, God kills everybody. The punishment for sin is death. All of us have to pay death for life. And, like, someone had put it one time, it's not, they weren't a Christian, it was just more of a philosopher, I think. They said, the payment of life is death. The payment we all have to pay for, having life, for buying life, for possessing life is death. We all have to pay our death. And all of us have to pay our death of our physical body for our sins. And the fact of God delivering it to somebody earlier or in old age really doesn't matter. Not that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't change anything. We all still will die. And another thing is this story is pretty close to another story in the Bible that everybody knows about. I'm pretty sure Christians and non-Christians alike. A story where God commands somebody to not do something, and if they do it, they're going to die. And he doesn't give them an explanation as to why they're not supposed to do it, other than because I said so, other than because I am God. You don't do it because I told you not to do it. And someone listens to another person telling them, that's not true. You're not going to die if you do this. So they do it. And as punishment, God says, okay, I told you, if you did this, you're going to die. You did this. Now you're going to die. And that's the story of Adam and Eve. When Adam and Eve were in the garden, God said, if you eat from this tree, you will die. And they went against God, they listened to Satan, and they ate of the tree. And for that, the punishment is death. Now, in that story, God didn't give an explanation as to why they weren't supposed to eat from the tree, other than just, you don't eat from the tree because I am God, and I told you not to. And just like in this story of Uzzah, we can try to decipher why. We can try to ask questions as to maybe why. And like I said, I put in the description the link to the website that has a good explanation on the story of Uzzah and the Ark, and why, there was a little bit more to it than simply this random man tried to grab hold of the Ark to keep it from falling. But I think what can happen is sometimes when we try to decipher things too much in the Bible, when we try to think of things too much and try to find too many practical reasons, while, again, that's all good to do, we have to be careful we don't lose sight of the most important fact, that God is God, and that what he says is true and justified because he is God, and because he has created everything. And sometimes, a lot of times, I think we lose sight of that by trying to decipher the Bible, by trying to figure out, why would God have done that way? And as I keep repeating ad nauseum, it's not wrong to research the Bible. It's not wrong to try to find out why God does certain things. But in that pursuit, we have to be careful not to lose sight of the fact that God is God. And regardless of our opinion towards what God's done, that doesn't change the fact that God's God and what he does is completely justified. And this isn't to say that you blindly follow God either, because like I said, there are explanations to these things. There are explanations to the reasons why God does stuff this very specific way he does it. But in researching that, we cannot lose sight of the fact that God is so much bigger than we are. He is so much more holy than we can even comprehend. The word holy is something that I don't think we understand what that means. He's like, the ark is a holy object. You don't touch it. We have a concept of what holy means in our mind, but I don't think we can comprehend what that actually means. The fact that God dwelled in that ark, if you touched it, you would die. If Moses saw God's face, he would die. That is how holy God is. And like I said, I don't think we can comprehend that. I don't think we can comprehend what that means. To look at something and have it kill you, that is how far removed from you God is. He is on such a different level from you that to merely look at him, to observe him, would be the end of your life. And just to think of God like that is just amazing. Like, when you actually consider that God is just so much bigger than we are. He is so much grander than we can even comprehend, that viewing him will kill us. I just find that amazing. And I really think every Christian should find that amazing. That God is so powerful that we can't even look at him. I find it so encouraging that my God is that strong. Because what do I have to fear then? If my God is that strong, what could I possibly fear? I'm going to live in eternity with him. Why do I fear what happens to my body down here? Why do I fear if I die earlier down here? Why would I fear what someone can do to me down here? When my God is so strong, there is not a human being alive that can even look at him. The incomprehensibility of God, I just find fascinating. So, anyway, I hope this gave you a little different perspective on the story and just on God, maybe. Just how we can't comprehend him completely. And while, yes, we definitely can look into things, we can research stuff, and we can try to figure out why certain things happen in the Bible, and why certain things happen in society nowadays. We can't lose sight of the fact of God. We can't lose sight of God and how big he is, and how in command he is of existence itself. So, without further ado, Lord willingly, I'll see you all later.